Thank you for watching the video update on the new enhancements for August 2018. The release incorporates all of the hotfixes since April release, but also includes enhancements that I will cover in this video. There is one piece of housekeeping that you will need to do straight after the software install. The requirements for the GST attribute have been simplified to allow practices to continue using their own defined GST attributes. So as a one-off exercise, if you come here into sysadmin and GST, you will need to confirm the number of months specific to each attribute. So I've already started to do some here, so it's just a case of selecting client prep 6, so that's a 6 monthly, and I click on it here. The system requires these if you are using AIM and also for the 6 monthly attributes at rollover. We have introduced a new line for terminal tax in the use of money calculator. This is to show the calculation date to be used for use of money interest when the client is within the new safe harbour rules. If the date range selected in the interest calculated area does not extend to the terminal tax date, I'll just demonstrate that now, then an indicator appears that shows the amount is not included in this particular calculation. I'll just put that back now. If the RIP value is over 60,000, then the calculation date for the use of money interest is from the final instalment and the terminal tax line is removed. There is an enhancement to the TMNZ integration piece that now replicates the choice of payment dates offered on TMNZ website. When you've chose Get Quote, the payment by column, this is here, gets populated with a range of dates provided by TMNZ. When you select the required date, the system will then obtain a quote based on that date. A new page has been introduced to the 901 application called Ledger Balances, and this page is for reviewing current balances on all client ledgers and sending reminders to those clients. The menu item has been renamed 901 Ledger Management, and there are a number of GeoAdmin settings to allow viewings and actions on this page. The previous 901 level menu now sits under a 901 Ledger Management level, and this has allowed the Ledger Balances option to be introduced. The menu opens up on the 901 page and we have a new Ledger Balances button. This is very similar and so very familiar if you use the 901 app. We have the same filtering criteria available, so you can look at selected partners, selected managers, etc. But instead of a payment date, we now have a choice of years. The results grid itself, like 901, is split into 3 sections. We've got the selection and payment date processing area. We've got the financial information, and the center section is the one for each individual to tailor themselves by dragging attributes on and off from the column selector. In Ledger Balances, there are 2 contexts to the view we are seeing. Where the return status is inactive or WIP, it is the provisional instalments and the provisional balance that we are concerned with, because a RIP figure has not yet been confirmed. So the PROV figures are bolded, and the calculation we are looking at is the PROV original due. That's the PROV balance for the year in relation to the current date. So if today was the 16th of January, we would see the total of the first and second provisional for a March balance date. So the calculation is the PROV original less or plus the payments or offsets gives you the provisional balance. Where the return status is at locked and above, we're now interested in the RIP figures, and so would see that the PROVs are greyed out and the RIP figures are bolded. The payment offset column is common to both contexts, so now the calculation we were looking at is the RIP figure plus or minus the offsets will give us the RIT balance. And like 901, these can be accessed just by a double click or a right click and choose Ledger. To send your client a reminder email or letter, like you do in 901, the record needs to be selected and then you go to the processing tab. So I'm just going to select one here and I'm in the processing tab. So because I have rights, I can access the reminder settings. This is an area where I can manage the email body templates for the reminders. I have a separate folder for my reminders, and after selecting that folder I can see a list of the .mht files. So I could have a multitude of .mht files in here, so obviously different ones for a different partner, could have different ones for student loan, I could have different ones if I want to inform about the RIP balance, or I could have different ones if I want to do about a PROV outstanding balance. So I'm just going to demonstrate this one to you here. So if I click on the icon there, it opens it up. So this is a very simple template layout, but I can make it as informative as I wish by adding any information from these insert fields. And as you'll see when I go through the process, this email body is also my printed letter. So changes I make here are reflected on the letter. In the current template selected, I come down and make sure I pick the one that I want to use, and I set that as my default. So that's for me personally as a user, it will always default to that one. When I click on the printer icon, it opens up the familiar processing page. So here's the processing page, and this is my email body template here. And you'll see if I just actually change the output of this to print, the same wording, it actually becomes the letter that I can send out. I'm just going to save it to PDF print and process it. So that's printed successfully. I can just close it, and then it populates the date here with the last communication date. So whenever I send a reminder, I can send it whenever I want. That last communication date will also always be updated. I just right click on here and view the audit trail. It shows me the various things that have happened. So here's my printed reminder for ink. It shows me the value that went, who the user was, and the previous things that actually happened in the 901 screen as well, and who the user was in there. I don't have any notes to demonstrate for you here, but if there's any notes that are carried through from 901, I'll be able to view them in here as well at the same time. The reminder email is saved into the same folder as the 901 emails and letters. Thank you for taking the time to view this video.